make sure the audio level for this game is always good, because it's always one of those games that just has quiet audio. Alright, what the heck did I do last in this game? I know it was in the middle of something. I know that I had to change everybody's decision from guilty to not guilty. Got it. Oh crap, I forgot. I don't know what voices I gave you all.
Been too long.
Well, we do have a decent cast for people to voice, I guess, if you want to do that.
Nah, it just goes much faster if I do them all voices wise. Plus, I don't even know how many characters are there. Let's see.
There was no one else inside the carriage at the time, so it has to have been him.
I trust the driver. He has an excellent memory, it seems, for passengers with fares totaling 20 pence. He's about to stab that lady. Yeah.
Is he the murderer?
Maybe.
Yeah, he has a murder weapon.
Why does he even need a knife in a court place?
I last saw the
I
carriage
feel like
case.
that might be breaking a law in some capacity.
Carriage case. I think this is this carriage case. Like, that was the last time I played the game. So, yeah. Let's see. He stuck the chaplain next to him just like this. Brazen, I must say. Absolute brazen. What the heck is brazen?
Resin.
I have simply typed collated all I simply typed and collated all the statements made thus far and drawn to their logical conclusion. You can trust that. Now,
Excuse you?
Yeah.
Whoa, that's a murderous granny.
The scoundrel stabbing the poor man on the floor, the beggars believe. If I recall correctly, one of them doesn't make any sense because of the driver's position. I think that was one of the problems. It's been so long. My God.
Bold and without shame. Brazen.
Bold without shame?
Yep. That's what I just searched up the dictionary.
Huh.
What it says then.
Oh, that's good to know. Thanks, Luigi. I'm pretty sure I heard that before. I just don't remember the words. I'm starting to wish I hadn't pushed for this now. Some of the jurors don't seem to have wonderfully formed arguments, though, do they?
Oh, I remember her.
Oh, yeah. Well, let's see what we can do. We need to get these 6 people to change their minds. I'll have to throw everything I can at them and use some very persuasive language. Just a moment, Mr. Naruto. Alright, what do I have to do, lady? According to my book, that's not quite how it works. Oh? I thought I was going to have to thaw their icy minds with some heartwarming rhetoric about the defendant. What are you going to say? That the man is a good looking? Maybe you'll get like at least one of the females. Unfortunately, once the jurors have decided the defendant is guilty, they're unlikely to heed anything the defense says. But then they've reached their conclusion by their own reasoning, you see. Your pleas will sound like excuses. In fact, if it could recoil on you, the more you try to persuade them, the more entrenched they may become. Then what on earth am I supposed to do? Oh dear. I'm just citing what I've read about the British law, Mr. Naruto. Right, sorry. Do you have any idea how to make this work then? Well, what can I understand? The key to this procedure is using the jurors' own words to make your arguments. What do you mean? I like how they're waiting a long time to just get this explanation in right now. Like they're not like, I don't know, causing him more distress by making him speak right now. Well, the 6 members of the juror are randomly selected members of the public. They may appear to present a united front, but the truth is, they are complete strangers who just happen to find themselves here in the courtroom together. Yeah. And that's the way to break them down, do you mean, right? Yes, exactly. Must listen very carefully to each member of the juror says, and see if we can identify contradictory statements. If If we can, then we can contrast the statements and pit the corresponding jurors against each other. I see. So the contradictions in what two or more jurors say are what that we were looking for. In a way, then, this is similar to a regular cross-examination. Oh, yes. Suppose you're right. So I basically have to put them in the Battle Royale ring and then pit them against each other. Cool. Another Battle Royale game.
Ding
He
ding
looks like he's
ding.
wearing a school uniform.
He is in school, actually.
Why is he here? Never mind.
Basically, long story short, this is the back in the day with the British Empire and the Japanese law made a treaty recently. They were going to have an exchange student, which was his best friend, go on a ship, but he was a stowaway because his best friend wanted him to come along for something, and also it was something that he really wanted his best friend to come along with. His best friend died on the ship due to a very mishapping accident, and now he's taking the replacement of that student as the exchange students, and he was trying to beg the person in charge of the program to allow him to be this student, but because of like legal reasons he couldn't. But he did give him one chance to prove himself by helping this man who had no lawyer at the time get an innocent in this murder case, basically. All right, no worries, I'm done. I'll see you later. Thank you for dropping by. See ya.
Have a safe dinner.
Bye.
Yeah, so yeah, basically there's that, and we discovered about the carriage. Now we're in like a 6-person court, like jurors, and then they decided that he is guilty. And since they all decided he's guilty, he was about to get convicted, but there's a little bit of in the law that still technically is in play that if I can change their minds with their wording, they can make him innocent. At least make this court case go longer. Find contradictions.
Well, that's not how actual court proceedings normally go, but okay.
I mean, this is never actual. This is like like the Ace Attorney games are really just making fun of more Japanese / the court systems in a lot of way. Because of how.
Yeah, I mean it's all fun and games and satire.
Yep. I mean, still, it's a satire on the actual political system because sometimes juries are really unrelentless and not really practical sometimes.
Well, yeah.
All right. I might be able to pull this off. No, that's not right. I have to pull this off.
Henry, can we start the proceedings, Counsel? I would ask you to take a stand for this. I'm expecting a clear, concise rebuttal.
Yes, my lord.
A sword.
That's his best friend's sword. Apparently, he has to wear it for the rest of his life now. No one. Okay, this one's just like I have to press now. Let's see what we got. So, her suggesting the victim is Mr. McGuile. Okay, so let's see. There'll be another explanation. Well, this is a stupid poll.
You're supposed to like choose answers.
Yeah, basically I'm choosing answers, but if I push, I can get a little bit more information out of them. But that one didn't help at all. But can I... Is it going to be the same where I'm just not going to add anything to them? But I'm going to have to test that out. So, okay, what's this? This guy says no one else inside the carriage at the time, so it has to have been him. Trust the driver. He is excellent Mary. It seems 4 passengers with fares totaling 20 pence.
So 5 pence is E. And
I want to look at this. So if I recall correctly, I want to look at something. So one thing I wanted, I think it was the it was the driver that made me question, because apparently he clearly saw the murder, but the problem is with the carriage is that the driver was at the top and he could not see what was at the bottom if we were to assume everything.
Well, wouldn't he be able to see the passengers as they come in?
Yeah, he would see the passengers as they come in, but I think one of his statements claimed that he saw the exact moment that the person got stabbed. But as you can see here, it's pretty hard to see that. So something about the driver is really suspicious.
Maybe unless he looks in that little window in front of him, but...
Also, if I recall from this debt paper, there was a huge debt in this paper that what was it? After all, not everyone. There was a person's name in here that was. I feel like there was a person's. Oh yeah, Bruce. Among defense list is Bruce Fairplay, who would have been due to repay his loan imminently.
Fairplay.
Yeah, his name is Bruce Fairplay, and I think Bruce Fairplay is the this guy who is also one of the witnesses. Something has to be done. So yeah, the names are Magnus McGilded, the person who was murdered, thrice fired Mason, the driver Beppo, Bruce Fairplay, and then Lady First. So it's one of the witnesses that has to be part of this whole thing. That's the problem. So she is the more person that's all about the money. Yeah, she's all about money. That's the thing. I guess like pressing doesn't really do much.
I guess you have to find the one that's kind of off.
Okay.
Oh, here it is. It says you can trust the guild. Fair fares is our motto. We haven't raised our prices above 4 pence for years. He's the boss of the driver.
The money is off then.
Yeah, he's the guy who needs to be pit. So I have to put him.
Yeah, because it's.
Yeah. There we go.
Objection.
Those two statements clearly contradict each other.
They do. Explain yourself, Counsel.
Me? Oh dear, what have I said? According to the group testimony we've heard so far, there are 4 passengers on the omnibus on the night in question. And according to the coachman, Mr. Beppo, he took 20 pence in fares. Right. I have those precise details typed neat here in front of me. And the juror number 5 also told us the following. The fare for the omnibus is always 4 pence. But that doesn't add up at all. In fact, it leaves a glaring discrepancy in the facts.
Why?
4 passengers pay 4 pence each. It's simple math, you dingus. Do the multiplication. It would be 16 pence. Exactly. As I said, it doesn't add up. The figures are different. By 4 pence, in fact, or precisely 1 person's fare.
1 person's fare?
Yes, in other words, on the omnibus that night, it's distinctly possible there was another passenger we've heard nothing about.
Good gracious!
Ooh, we got so much tension.
The figures of your coachman claims most certainly do not add up. Your watchword, good sir, is fallacy.
Pardon?
Mr. Guildmaster, I think you ought to consider that if this trial were to end now, the news will surely spread all over London. The news that one of your coachmen tried to hide the fact that he let a nefarious characters ride his omnibus.
Alright then, how do I make this miserable trial doesn't end?
I like how she's just reading the scripture. Well, according to my book here.
Where's my script?
Where's my script? Where's Kyle?
Where's my script?
You launched the ball of fire onto the innocent side of the set of scales.
Oh! Hold your horses here, coachman. Here, we are all in agreement. Wait. I'm gonna get my hands on you, Beppo.
Well, we kept the trial going.
Oh, this is very irritating.
Begging your pardon, sir, I'm going to do the same. So far, we're getting in favors.
For the love of Mike, not you as well.
A penny can be a difference between a smile and a tear after all. I certainly can't put my trust in someone who doesn't follow my exact standards in financial matters.
Oh, really?
If I, for one, I think it's only proper that what we hear from the witnesses again. Oh, well done, Mr. Naruto. We did it! We can manage to change two more jurors' mind. We can force the trial to continue. 2 more, actually. There is something else that's bothering me about a couple of their assertions. And that's where you must strike next. So I need to pit 2 more jurors against each other to show there's another contradiction in their assertions. Exactly. Let's do it.
Oh, the scales of justice have shifted, but they still weigh heavy on the side of guilt. Counsel, do you have a floor? You have floor can continue your summation examination.
So she has nothing to do. Okay, so there was no one else inside the carriage at the time, so it has to be him. Just like a chap like this. Okay. Simply type the collated statements and thus far drawn a logical conclusion. It's Grandy. Scoundrel stabbed the poor man on the floor. Wait.
Discrepancy. She said he stabbed him on the floor. He said he stabbed him sideways like that.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Actually, I'm gonna pit them both against it. That seems like to be a proper one, to be honest.
Objection.
Those 2 statements are completely contradictory.
What? Explain, counsel. Post haste.
Oh, dearie me. I only need a jumper for my other half. Ah, as a heart. That's so cute.
Indeed cute.
Is that Lissa gonna be in like 60 years?
No, I don't knit. Knitting is a nightmare. I
thought you were knitting
don't
at
get
the
me
moment.
wrong. Like I know some people that love knitting, but
Mhm.
I've tried it once and it is, oh god, it is so confusing.
If you make one mistake, it's like the end of the world, to be honest.
Yeah, and you have to undo everything, and sometimes you don't even know there's a mistake until you're like halfway through a second line, and it's like, oh.
Yeah, so it's like it's already too late. Yeah, like is knitting worse than sewing?
I mean, it depends on the person you're asking. I'm sure some people who knit a lot would find sewing more
yeah.
complicated because, I don't know. You see people and like once they get in a zone, they can knit without even paying attention. But for me, knitting is so much harder than sewing
Oh yeah.
or embroidery. It's just
I never tried any of them, so I would not know. But to be honest, oh, I don't know if I would. I'll have more fun knitting than sewing. I guess like I might have more fun with knitting though because it's a lot bigger compared to sewing, where you have to put like a tiny string into the needle and make sure it doesn't come out.
Oh yeah, I mean you have tricks for that. Like I have a guide where you put like a little metal loop through the end of the needle, and then you can put your thread through and then pull it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no, knitting is definitely on a bigger scale than sewing.
Yep. What is all this claptrap? What does contradictory even mean? I ask you. What? He doesn't even know.
Put your knife away first, sir. I don't want the risk of you throwing it at our player.
I mean, he's the judge of you. We've heard more than one witness that they all allegedly saw the exact moment when the defendant stabbed the victim. Now, out of curiosity, juror number 3. What? Can't you see that I'm busy here?
Isn't that stuff?
How would you say the defendant stabbed the victim? What sort of motion was it? Ha! Want to test me, do you? It was like this. They stuck the fellow next to him without even getting up. Just that, like the prim banker said.
Oh, yes, that's what Mr. Fairplay's testimony. Quite true.
Now then, juror number 6.
Oh, is it me? That's me, is it? What can I do for you, young man?
How would you say the defendant stabbed the victim, madame?
Oh, well, dear, as far as I understand. It was like this. He stabbed the porter man after he collapsed on the floor. The coachman said so.
Now, don't move. Take a look at these 2 jurors. He stuck the fellow next to him without even getting up. And he stabbed the poor man after he collapsed on the floor.
Oh, I never dare. They're stabbing in totally different directions.
What?
Bless my stitches! What a muddle!
What this tells us is that there's a strong possibility one of the witnesses isn't telling the truth.
Oh.
But why? Why in the dickens would he lie? Would they lie? I don't know yet. What I do know is that if the trial ends at this point, we may never find out. We may never know the real truth. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, can you really let that happen in an all good conscience? Also, he's whacking his hand on the wood so hard. I feel like that's gonna cause him a bruise.
Nice, you
If it
said.
didn't break his hands at the first trial, I think it might break at this trial.
I mean, in the first trial, he wasn't slapping it hard, and it also was his palm, but this was like his fist, like banging his fist on the table. That's like a lot. That hurts a lot
He's
more.
being dramatic, Nick. Trying to make a point.
Well, his health is concerning.
I'm
Nice.
sure he'd like to know you're concerned about his well-being.
Lies, you say? Oh, dearie me. I can't abide people telling lies.
Oh, now we have a tie.
Not yet. Oh.
The scales. But we need one more.
Wait! Now hear this. My fellow jurors, I warn you, we cannot listen to this man. Look at him in his black suit. He's clearly some devious Eastern sorcerer using magic on us all.
If I could use magic, do you really think I'll be putting myself through all this?
Answer me this, Dark Jinx.
Huh? Me?
What exactly is the problem? What of it if the 2 witnesses have slightly different recollections of the events?
What of it?
Let's say the Sherlock did stab Hickerman as he was sat next to him on the omnibus, and this lady Dandy saw him do it. And now let's say the victim collapsed on the floor, and then the Sherlock stabbed him again, and this old lady saw him do it. Well, what's to say it didn't happen like that,
Well, to be
Does
honest,
he have two stab wounds?
also the autopsy report.
We don't exactly have. I don't know if we have the autopsy report.
We do actually have it. It's right here.
Oh.
So according to this, it was
Yep, stab once.
Yeah, it's stabbed once. It's never showed him multiple bodies. Also, it's like right here. As you can see, he's clearly on the seat.
Yeah, he's not on the floor. Like,
So the granny's clearly lying.
Well, no, the granny is part of the juror. So the jurors are never saw the thing, Luigi. The jurors were listening to the witnesses, and this is what Granny picked up. One of the witnesses claims that he was stabbed on the back or on the ground. So the Granny is not lying. It's just Granny heard a statement that was clearly a lie.
So I guess that person that she heard is sus.
It's very sus, yeah.
So witness number 6, sus.
Well, not witness number 6. It's just whatever witness is there, because technically we only have 3 witnesses. Who are you calling a dandy, sir? Why, I should take this knife and to you. Who are you calling old? Why, I should take this needle to you. That's a wood needle, lady.
Right?
Apparently, gouge your eyes out, apparently, with that, I guess. They're ready to kill each other now. But could the foreman of the jury be right? Did the 2 witnesses see 2 different moments of the same crime?
no.
Out of the question.
It's out of the question.
Definitely
Unfortunately, Mr. Foreman.
Where's it? You, Dark Jinx, come on. Out with it.
What you're suggesting is impossible. It's out of the question.
What? What are you talking about, man? How could that you possibly say that? You do realize I'm only doing my job.
Yet you're still really trying to get this place to end right now with a guilty verdict.
Well, he probably just wants to get out of here. The longer this continues, the longer he has to stay.
Yeah, he just really wants to get out.
Hey, as a foreman of jury, I have
Don't we
responsibility to steer everyone in the right
enjoy
direction.
this.
Yeah, don't we all want to get out of jury, do we?
Yeah.
So where's your evidence, man? That's what I want to see. I say 2 witnesses saw different moments of the same crime. If you say that's out of the question, show me proof.
Looks like the only way I'm going to convince him is to present him with something he can't dismiss.
Autopsy report.
I don't think no, I'm going to try to picture first, because that clearly has a better choice. I'll give you some.
Well, yeah, but the autopsy report specifically says 1 stab wound.
Yeah.
And he's suggesting he was stabbed twice at 2 different
Yeah,
moments.
I think the autopsy is the better option as well.
All right, let's go with the autopsy then. I mean, it might be either autopsy or picture. Well, we'll see about this. This is the victim's autopsy report. According to what's written here, Mr. Mason was stabbed in the abdomen. Only once.
Only once?
It's quite simple. The victim was stabbed precisely 1 time. Which
You're
means...
right, he does slam his fist a lot.
Yeah, that was like, what, 10 times the slam? I don't know. Future Justin, can you tell me? Can you count how many that is? Or like clip this moment and just say like...
Paragon.
Yeah, like Future Paragon. Like it would just be like Future Justin, clip this moment and just title it how many times he slammed his fist up to now.
Oh god, it turns into a drinking game. Every time he slams his fist.
Dude, if it was a drinking game, we would all already be just like already passed out drunk.
Pretty much.
I probably would be not really sober.
Yeah, no, I would like if you continue drinking past that point, you will already be dead. Which means the witnesses can't possibly have seen it happen 2 different times. I thought you were really struggling to get that knife out.
He was,
Wait, his
it
hand,
kinda
his
just popped
knife's
out.
gone. It's not in his hands.
Yeah, the knife went inside his hand. I can see. All right, I concede defeat.
He threw it away.
Mm-hmm. Well, we made the trial continue on. Why are you shocked?
Hey.
Hey, that means 4 jurors are now leaning to not guilty. We've done it, Mr. Naruto. We've won. Well, we've won a battle, but not the war.
Say,
Wait, if he says,
If he says what?
I was trying to find out what happens if he says no, not guilty as well. Do we win fully or?
I mean, technically speaking, if everyone says not guilty, then I guess we win. Yes, but we haven't convinced these 2. Like two of them, the lady and this juror number 1.
What are you playing at, you dandy fool?
Shut your trap, sir. No one deceives me.
What? We had a consensus.
I said shut your trap. I know a liar when I see one. You say you know a liar when you see one, and yet you still voted guilty initially. It took you some convincing to realize that someone was lying.
It's game logic, Nick. Don't question it.
I'm just questioning realism versus fake realism. And if the chap ever dares to cross my threshold of my shop, I'll take this razor blade and shave every last hair off his head.
Gonna cut his tongue.
Stop licking the knife, please. No.
That's making me uncomfortable.
Should I let this play even longer?
Get rid of it. Get off the screen.
Alright. Please tell me he's a barber.
Very well. In a quite remarkable turn of events, the defense summation examination has flipped the balance of the scales of justice. The jurors now stand at 2 for guilty and 4 for not guilty. Accordingly, there is no longer a large enough majority among the jury for me to adjudicate. Big words. I'm too old. I'm senile. And the trial must continue.
Oh, he's still licking the knife.
Oh, God.
Stop licking the knife. I don't want to see any more blood wounds.
Oh, drinking. Oh, that went down wrong windpipe.
Are you okay?
Give me a second. All right, there we go.
Safety to all, including SS Blazer.
Yep. When you drink water down the wrong pipe, it really just hurts you for a while.
I mean, yeah, because that's liquid in your lungs, and that's not good.
Ain't that the truth?
That's true. Well, it's like it hasn't gone straight to the lungs yet, right? Or has it?
I mean, it's
like-
possible.
It doesn't immediately hit the lungs yet, but it like hits a point where it could go down to them.
Okay, yeah, but as long as it's not like overflowing, a couple drops is
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah.
Also, hi, Mike.
As long as you're not
Choke.
drowning.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, I'm not choking. I just drank water down the wrong pipe.
Breathe while drinking. Not a good idea.
No, very not. If you want to breathe while drinking, breathe through your nose.
That doesn't do anything. It's the
I thought
same
you were
thing.
gonna say that's your problem.
No, I mean yeah. Like what Alyssa said, like you're still opening up the passageway to your lungs that way.
Eh,
I mean, if
Your
you're trying to
nose
like
and
eat
mouth
and
are connected.
like if you're chewing, you can chew and breathe through your nose if you're not swallowing like, at the same time, but it doesn't really work for
I mean, you can blow and breathe at the same time. That's for sure.
what?
You can actually
mean,
blow
like-
and breathe at the same time.
Like inhale and exhale at the same time? No, because that would be
No. It is possible because I've seen. I know. I think Carl and Sean also saw it. Basically, one of my band teachers who were playing the trumpet can basically play his trumpet almost like pretty much infinitely because he would play the trumpet because you can hear the sound, but he's breathing in, so it's like it's not like it's constant airflow. Like it was actually possible. It's just really difficult for any human to do without practice. It is
Weird,
possible.
but I mean, there are some things that are really bizarre that people can do.
Yep. Circular breathing, if anyone wants to look it up. Emoto says it, right? See, Emoto got my back.
I hereby ask defense, prosecution, and witnesses to return to their place.
Everyone was still at their place. They haven't moved, Mr. Judge. Are you senile still?
I think he's places by your homes.
Yeah.
And I call upon all of you to continue to say the truth. So, Lord Von Zeeks, continue to substantiate the case for the prosecution, if you please.
Oh, he's drinking wine. Too bad it's
Red
not.
wine.
Yeah, it's too bad it's not vodka. Otherwise,
I think Matt would go off on us if it was vodka.
Oh my god, he looks like a vampire.
I mean,
I
he
love
is.
it.
He's supposed to be represent vampire. Oh, I mean, he's
Right now,
wearing
he's a
gloves.
very dramatic and rich vampire. Like, come
But
on, man.
there's way too much light from the candles. Wouldn't that cause all these small burns?
Hey, now he's not a real
They're not
vampire.
allergic to light. They're allergic to sun.
True.
Having savored the rich aroma of the carmine contents of this hallowed chalice,
Yeah, this dude is definitely sus.
it may seem crash to crush it into dust, but I forgive the courtesy.
Well, in a sense, he may be sus, but a lot of prosecutors are like this, where they're designed to look menacing. Now, given so, not all prosecutors are bad. They just look sus. So he's just doing his job in a sense. He's just probably your rival for the longest time.
Lord Von Sykes!
Is it cold in here, or is it just me?
Probably just you.
As your antiquated tome no doubt says, the prosecution may not speak during a summation examination.
So I honored a deathly silence and listened to the charade.
It seems I overestimated the intelligence of the jury. Well, no matter. There is nothing so hard to prove as a self-evident truth, it would seem. No. And why, what else would we grace the courtroom with our presence after all? So, let us proceed to the next round of the battle.
Oh my god, he took off his clothes. He's stripping.
Oh my god, he's practically naked.
Oh my god, I'm being flashed.
Wait, is this a hot business?
What?
Oh, you're hot.
Starbucks.
You're hot business. You're from Jackbox. Your steamy hot business. This is a guy, one of your
Starbucks.
top models.
We're just like, wait, what? And I was like, it's Starbucks. We're like,
Dildo, prostitution or something. And then we did it twice. And then this one would
They were
just...
just giving me porn. It was Kyle literally was writing porn. Anyway, that's not what this is about. This is about a murder victim.
You said stripping, which I felt like fit the moment very well.
Yep.
Bring forth the witnesses once more.
Hi, Top Hat Clan.
I was gonna say, why are they all wearing top hats?
Literally. Well, I mean, okay, let me look at the history for them. Let's look at people. Let's see. So, I mean, the guy was, this guy was a brick maker. This guy is a very rich person who is giving a lot to London. So he gets a top hat. I don't know, he has the hat. Beppo is a driver. Bruce Fairplay is a city banker, so I guess he should get a top hat. And this guy is apprentice milliner.
I bet it's him. He killed him.
I mean, Beppo has, like, the thing is
It's
about...
always the innocent ones.
Well, no, Beppo was probably bribed because he's the one who claims to have seen the murder, which I was very suspicious about because of his position. And he also was the one who allowed the 20 pence. So he was involved with the person, at least. Is what I can tell.
So you're suggesting it's the banker because of the money.
I'm assuming because his name came up with being in debt. is what I would assume. So, but then Lady First, he is also suspicious because he's to be acting innocent.
Yeah, he's too innocent. He's too colorful looking. I don't know.
Witnesses. I trust you heard their summation examine. Huh?
Witness me.
Witness me.
Witness me!
Oh,
Witness me.
Luigi crashed.
Oh.
This Discord crash is what I'm saying.
Oh, no.
All right, Luigi, I'll see you in a bit. Let's see.
I trust you heard the summation examination we have just had to endure.
Yes, sir. I did, sir. Of course I heard it.
Oh, yes, sir. I heard it.
Oh, sir. On the end, the coachman, I believe it's Beppo. Why are we all saying sir? Is it a sermon?
Why is it cold in the courtroom?
I guess he's just like, he was in the cold for so long, he's basically internally cold forever.
Poor man.
Yes, sir. Yes, my lord, sir. If it transpires that, in your previous testimony, you are attempting to veil the presence of a fifth passenger on your omnibus, you will be found guilty of perjury. You are advised to bear that in mind, sir. Oh mio Dio.
It's me, Dio.
I thought it was. You.
It's not my head, Dio.
Oh, then, witnesses, I hereby call you to testify before the court again. You will be to explain the various misgivings brought to our attention by the defense's summation examination.
Uh-oh. Bruce Fairplay is not being fair play.
I only carried 4 passengers that night. I swear it. But.
Well, I, for one, was told I had to pay 5 pences for the bus.
He fiddled us on the fare, he did. And then I saw that blood-curdling sight as well. It's all too much.
I tell you, I saw Mick Gilroyd stabbing that man. Everything I said before stands.
Oh, yes, he stabbed him. Yes, he did. I think so, yes.
You think so? I think does not testify as facts.
So, make sense of this for me, please.
The phantom fifth passenger conjured into existence by my learned Eastern friend never existed. The confusing has arisen from the coachman's sly little cousinage.
Is that I'm saying it right? Why does
He
everyone
swindled them. Just say swindled.
swindled? Why do everyone have to make big words in this game? Future Justin, why didn't you tell me this game had big words, alright?
Should you have been prepared? You're playing as a lawyer, Nick.
Well, Future Justin should have prepared me. He's my sensei. I know he's watching this. Just gonna...
There we go. Discord finally fixed itself.
Hey, welcome
Hey.
back.
Welcome back.
Double tap. Okay.
I'm terribly sorry, Bigger Master.
The girls fares 4 pence per number. Then you have an overtime message for by a penny for.
It's so cold. The last run of the day is always half empty. You have been dishonest, coachman. So sorry.
If I may, sir, I had to pay 10 pence on the bus just last week.
What?
4 passengers at 5 pence each is, yes, 20 pence. Done the arithmetic 10 times already, but I just can't make the result come out differently.
You could try, but it wouldn't
It's
really
math.
be hard.
You've been doing basically 4 times 5 in your head 10 times already. When it's not like calculus where you have to solve the freaking derivative, limits, integrals, equation, oh my god.
Wasn't
I think someone got broken.
No, I'm just like, why
It's
would you do that arithmetic 10 times in your head unless you're really bad at math?
They should try to find a different outcome.
You are presently on ignorance. You didn't participate in the conclusion that. Oh hi Justin. It's future Justin. Hi future Justin.
Hi, Future Paragon.
Future Justin.
E.
Paragon of the future. Wait, would it be Paragon Wigglytuff or Paragon Igglybuff?
Yes.
Ooh.
No, that figures.
Well, it would appear that one aforementioned misgivings have already been explained. So, counsel for the defense, your cross-examination, if you please.
We've already had the pleasure of a protracted summation examination today. I see you intend to continue the parlor games.
Absolutely.
What?
Do you have an answer for us about the gavel? I have no idea.
Gabble gabble.
I mean, it's past Turkey Day, so there's that.
One's just cold, the other's just constantly.
Why did you bring a whip inside here? Sir, get that whip out of here. Some people are not into that thing. Also, I guess you've been out of the cold for so long, you basically are internally cold forever.
Isn't that?
Mhm.
Why is he constantly losing his hat?
I don't know. What do you say, Kyle? Is it fair play?
Ah, damn it, you noticed him here.
It's
I don't know, dude. I don't play this game. I don't understand how it works.
Blame Yamoto.
Mr. Brown is here.
You
The
should
only
go-
observation I've made so far is that Ryunosuke wears the same high school uniform that like 75% of high schools in this country have.
Well, you
All
should.
the animes.
If you want to be blamed for being discovered, you should blame Emoto because she said your name in Discord chat.
Yeah. But yeah, every high school uniform is either an open jacket with some sort of colored necktie, or it's that kind of closed jacket with like a black jacket, golden buttons.
Well, at least Discord's working better for you, unlike yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was a nightmare. I was really annoyed that was happening to me.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully you're able to see The Incredibles too.
At
He
some
will soon.
point.
He will soon. Yeah.
I think that movie has just become a meme of like a movie I can never see no matter what happens.
Mhm.
Aw.
I mean, I haven't seen the movie, therefore it couldn't exist, right? Incredibles 2 is just a conspiracy.
This needs to be a myth for.
That's incredible.
It's a myth, you know. Like we were always saying growing up, we were like, when is Incredibles 2 coming out? Because they ended the first movie on a cliffhanger, and then it never came out. And this day, I still believe it never did. I think it's all been staged.
Just like the moon
I've
landing.
been lying to you.
The moon
Yeah, like
landing
the
is
moon
the
landing, which Stanley
Discord.
Kubrick helped fake,
Discord
and
broke
and John
so
Lennon, who was murdered by Stephen King.
Hmm.
LennonMurderTruth.com.
Did you guys know that there was I think it was called In the Mouth of Madness, there was a character
Carpenter
based
movie?
on Stephen King named Sutter Kane?
Oh yeah, that's the movie about the book that becomes reality, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen that movie before. That was an interesting, trippy movie. I feel like I need to see it again.
It's honestly one of my all-time favorites.
Nice. Also, Lady First has never seen the actual person staff, so this person was lying.
Why the fuck you lying? Why you always lying? Oh my god. Stop fucking lying.
Why is your hat always falling off, lady?
Okay. He's hiding the murder weapon underneath it.
No, the murder weapon I thought we already had in our inventory.
Well, you know
I
what?
mean, it could be a
He's
second
hiding the
murder
second
weapon.
one.
It's only one knife wound.
One knife
Based off
wound?
that-
The scratch.
Based off the autopsy report, it's only one knife stab.
Yeah, one knife wound in the same place. You can stab someone multiple times in the same place.
I think having the name Fair Play is kind of sus.
Yep.
Is that the banker?
Yep.
Oh, dude, a banker named Fair Play? That's just no way.
What's the
Arrest
joke
him
about?
now.
What-
Arrest him now.
Well, what's the joke? Fair play? Bruce Fair play?
What?
What's the joke? I never got his name joke.
Oh,
Fair
they're looking
play.
fun to the full name.
His name is Bruce Fairplay.
Oh, well, having the name Fair Play and being a banker is the joke.
Oh. Okay. I thought it was some kind of actual, other than actually being called Fair Play and with a banker, I thought it was actually something named like an actual
Nah,
person.
I don't think the name Bruce has any significance.
Lissa
Literally
would,
just fair play.
Lissa would poison the knife to double kill them, says Emoto.
Yeah, that's very true.
Brazen in Japanese.
So something about Bruce's statement really doesn't add up.
Because he probably did it.
Oh my god, he did.
As we've already stated. Banker named Fair Play. This does not make sense.
Put the cart before the horse, maybe. What? Oh, I expect that. What's me, sir?
Oh my gosh.
I was sticking out of his midriff. Did they even know midriffs in the back in the day? So in short,
What does that mean?
showing off your belly.
Yes, people had abdomens.
No, I mean
back in the
they
day.
have the
That's
term.
not a recent evolution of humankind.
No, I mean like the term midriff.
Yeah, I'm sure people would have said that back then. It's a more
What's Japanese
polite
for the
term
day?
than saying the belly.
So the one thing that doesn't make any sense to me is how that guy is cold. You've got like how many freaking candles lit up?
We don't
inside
know
each
how
of
long
those
he was
lanterns?
outside for.
That's kind of, yeah, the whole thing. He was outside so long, he's permanently cold now.
Oh,
Man, he's got a worse condition than Mr. Freeze.
what the heck is Fairplay
What
doing
is-
with his own mustache?
No, that's not his mustache. That's his cane.
Even worse.
Oh, he's chewing on his cane, yeah. That looked like it was his mustache at first, and I was confused too. Why is Beppo so cold?
I'm just gonna finishing his statement because I want to see what else he says. So
It's
basically,
not him. Is the building
without
not
saying.
heated?
Is he cold because he's anticipating his time in a jail cell, or is he not one of the people being arrested? I don't know.
he's my logical explanation is that because he's the carriage on the omnibus and goes from like all day to late at night, like constantly, and during the winter, he's gotten so accustomed to the cold that it's constantly cold in his life.
So it's like one of the middle school kids, like Zach.
So yeah, something's going on with him. I know who to pursue. I just wanted to see what else he said is all.
The flicker of a reaction. I think biting his cane was enough of a reaction.
Are you sure? I didn't notice him biting his cane. That was just like a flicker to me.
Oh, that's right. It was his mustache.
I mean, if his mustache was ever that long, I feel like that's a one fantastic mustache.
That would be a gravity-defying mustache if it's still stuck out at the sides like that instead of going down. You need to use a lot of product to get it to stay like that.
Every single day.
It's like spiking up a mohawk, but instead you're spiking your mustache to the sides.
It's also that how do you go through doors?
So what will be the Japanese word of the day?
Japanese word of the day.
Excuse me.
Yuzai, which means guilty.
Do you have something to say about that, Mr. Fairplay?
Now you listen to me. I know what you're thinking. He didn't really stab the exact moment the fellow was stabbed. What are the chances of that? Eh?
Or I guess another Japanese word of the day could be kuchihige, which means mustache, which is literally mouth beard.
Mouth beard.
That sounds like a knockoff pirate name.
No.
Mouth beard.
Or it sounds like kind of like a derogatory term, kind of like neck beard that people use as like an insult.
Maybe I should be, next time I play Blackwake, I should be called Mouthbeard instead.
Alright,
What we learned today in English, we learned brazen,
the
bold and without shame.
the beard and the mustache conscious. Yeah, they are. Are you asking me or telling me? He's getting flustered. I might be able to extract some new information from him if I answer cleverly. Could he have just happened to see the exact moment a Campbell was committed?
No.
Nope. Well, it is a little hard to believe, certainly, unless you spend your time peeping through a skylight on top of the omnibus, that is.
Peeping? I am a respectable city baker, I'll have you know. And no, I know what I saw. I remember it clear as a Ballarat.
Hey, what the heck?
Ballarat. Oh, give me a sec.
What? Why do people use big words?
It was a grim scene, I don't mind telling you.
Ballarat.
Thank you, Mr. Fairplay.
Oh, excuse me if I was getting a little hot under the collar there, my lord.
It's a city in Australia.
So he's Australian.
Aurora is the city in the Central Highlands of Victoria, Australia. Nope, that's not it. Sure.
I would ask you to supplement your testimony with a clear statement of what you exactly saw.
Oh, I can do that, alright. I'll tell you how just how grim it was.
Named after two abnormal words. Bala meaning elbow and wrinkling of the elbow, and arat meaning place.
Do you think I forgot this blood-soaked so bad? Did he say butcher the stab man? I didn't read that clearly. Blood-soaked. As he soaked is laying on a little thick. You mean thick with two C's?
Well, I found the actual definition. It's kind of two abnormal words.
Oh, really?
Bala meaning elbow or reclining to the elbow, and a rat meaning place.
Elbow or rat?
Elbow and place.
Oh shit! A rat.
Reclining elbow or reclining to said elbow, and then place. So elbow place.
Yeah. That was So you're quite sure you saw it?
Of course he's quite sure. He did it.
But he was on top of the carriage. So he says that he saw with a clear light inside the carriage. But was there even light in the carriage?
I
think so, based off the crime photo. They were showing like light in the crime photo.
Let's see. Well, if we look inside the carriage,
Say there's light on the outside.
yeah, there's obviously lights on the outside, but what's on the inside? Yeah, there is light there.
Not just one light though. That's the thing.
It is just
And
one
there's
light, but he
one
still sees it clearly.
Yeah, but then there's a top area.
Let's see. I'm gonna go back at this. Let's see. Hold it. So it was like, I think I'd forget the sight of those blood-soaked hands after that butcher stabbed the man. Hey, he didn't have a butcher knife. Silk laying thick. Let's see. I've called the skylight's reasonably loud, so I had plenty of good review, and there was a lamp on the inside of the carriage rest, so I'm quite sure of what I saw. It's true.
That is correct statement.
No, actually, it's soaked. But he said, but anyway, there is definitely blood all over them. Both of them were covered in it. That's a lot of blood. The problem is with that statement is that he didn't lose a lot of blood, and the gloves only have like one hand of it is covered in blood. So his statement was just like,
should we present that?
I'm trying to figure out which.
Present the gloves to counter it?
I don't know if that's the proper way though. Oh, it just says blood-soaked hands. Yeah, it would be the gloves.
Objection.
Because he says blood-soaked hands. Blood-soaked hands?
Well, I'd admit, soaked maybe laying it on a little thick, but anyway, there was definitely blood all over them. Both of them were covered in it.
Well, I'm very sorry to disagree, Mr. Fairplay, but that's more than a little peculiar.
What? You starting to use big words, boy.
Here were the gloves worn by the defendant, Mr. McGilded, on the night in question.
Oh, yes, right.
And there certainly does appear to be a sizable dark-colored stain there. But as I'm sure you can clearly see, it's only on the right hand of the glove. Wait, why are you chewing on your staff?
Is he? I think he's trying to break his teeth with it.
Yeah. In short, Mr. Fairplay, your testimony is inconsistent.
But no, that can't be right.
So you're the liar here then?
That's right. I didn't quite hear about it. You said it was both his hands.
Oh my God. Stop breaking their cane. They're gonna destroy it.
He probably, like, when I break him down, he probably is gonna destroy his cane.
And hopefully not murder you with the other one of those halves of the process.
Yeah.
I just saw Kyle post those gifs. What the heck?
Titles going off.
Kyle memeing over there.
Yeah, he is. Mr. Fairplay, your last test statement was a lie. It calls your entire testimony into question. You say you saw the moment the victim was stabbed, but is that really the truth?
Objection!
Ooh, that's
It
a nice
was a
animation.
It was a simple mistake. You can't justify accusing this man of lying. Yes, it wasn't both his hands. It was only one. But the fact remains. The victim's blood was on the accused.
Objection!
No. Mr. Fairplay categorically stated that he saw blood all over both hands, which means that there's a strong possibility that this witness was deliberately trying to mislead the court.
Why? I'm a city banker for Pete's pity's sake. My word should be the golden standard.
Not very fair play of you, is it?
Standard.
I am a gentleman, not some gutter snipe.
What the heck is that word?
Upstanding members of the society don't prevaricate.
So
God
you're
dang.
saying rich people don't tell lies.
Yeah. I mean, he's in
That's
debt,
better.
supposedly, according to the debt
A
collector's
scruffled or
book.
badly behaved child who spends most of their time on the street.
He's
That's
claiming.
an interesting definition for gutter snipe.
What does that mean?
A scruffled or badly behaved child who spends most of their time on the street.
I mean, gutter.
Street kid.
He'd be street racing.
Similar street urchin.
Street urchin. He's claiming to have no reason to lie. But is that really the case? Mr. Naruto, if we had some evidence to explain why Mr. Fairplay might be lying, it could turn the tide to this trial completely. Something to show this man has a compelling reason to lie in his testimony. There's no evidence. Yes, there's clearly no evidence with this game, who always says present evidence. My lord,
Yes, counsel.
Question.
the defense is ready to present evidence.
Oh, by Jovi! Are you sure?
Yes, evidence that will clearly demonstrate why Mr. Fairplay had a reason to lie in his testimony.
Very well. I hereby call the defense to present this evidence. Evidence that demonstrates the motive for the witness's alleged deception of the court.
Look at my armband.
Definitely not.
I mean, look at it. It clearly says that I inherited Kazuma, which has a motivation that he wants to stop me from inheriting Kazuma's identity. Yeah.
Wait, was he in the debt list?
Yeah, it says right here, among the defendant's list of debtors is Mr. Bruce Fairplay, who has to pay his loan imminently, which means he had to pay it really soon.
I guess that is a
This is the list of debtors who owe money to Mr. McGilded. Yes, a list of innocent victims crippled by the accused's extortion. The point is, among the names of these debtors is your name, Mr. Bruce Fairplay.
What?
Nani?
Mr. Fairplay, are you currently indebted financially to the accused?
No, well, it's barely worth being called a debt.
According to this ledger, you owe 20 guineas. Not an inconsiderable sum of money, wouldn't you say?
Well, what of it?
Let's suppose Mr. McGilded were to be found guilty of murder. What would become of your debt in that case?
These documents state that the loan agreement is forged between two individual parties. Therefore, were the creditor, the defendant here, to be sentenced to capital punishment, all outstanding debts will be owed to him would be annulled. They would cease to exist.
Cease to exist. Mr. Fairplay, is it not the case that you claimed in your testimony to have something seen something you never, in fact, saw. In a devious attempt to annul your debt of 20 guineas to the defendant.
Ugh.
And he was wearing a
God
nice
is
suit.
angry.
Isn't 20 guineas is like the pennies? Or no, that's pence. What's guineas? I need currency transactions. What's 20 guineas?
Hmm.
Let me look.
Guineas.
Guineas.
Guinness Book of World Records.
21 world records? My goodness. What would those world
Or
records be in?
21 pints of Guineas.
So guinea is worth $1, so it's like £1 basically. So he basically owes the man $20.
Oh, what year is
Wow.
this?
But yeah,
I was
this-
gonna say,
avoid a debt for
What it
$21.
looks like the year this is, that's I
It-
mean, that's
it-
not a insignificant sum.
No, that's actually pretty. That's actually a lot of money in a sense because this is back in the 1800s. Because according to this, guineas were minted in Great Britain from between 1663 to 1814.
Ah.
So if we think about this, like he had guineas, 20 guineas back in like the 1800s, which I think is around it based on time. That's like probably like $200 is what I would say in today's money.
Oh.
Okay. So one person says a guinea is a gold coin, weighing about 8.3 grams, 91% gold. So it's okay. So this person estimates a guinea to be worth $327
One guinea is $327.
in today's currency.
Well, then he owes like over $6,000 in today's money. That's a lot of debt.
Order, order, order! I like 2 number 9s, number 9 large.
Mr. Fairplay.
Yes, my lord.
Why do you have to say it like that?
I think it's because of his stress being at a very all-time high.
Let me ask you again, and be aware that your answer may have some most serious implications upon your future, sir. Did you or did you not see the precise moment in the time at which the defendant is alleged to have thrust a knife into the victim?
No.
Your silence speaks volumes. You did not tell the truth in your testimony.
All right. Now let's not make a melodrama out of this. Perhaps I did overestimate the truth a pinch.
A pinch?
Overestimate the truth?
Yeah.
But it makes no difference. I definitely remember seeing blood on Mr. McGill's hands, both of them.
And yet only one of the defendant's gloves, which we have here as evidence, is stained.
So you keep saying.
First, do you have something to say? I wonder if I might be allowed to speak, sir.
Go ahead, Mr. First.
Well, the thing is, I think I remember seeing it myself as it may happened. Seeing what? The blood, sir, on the assailant's hands. I think, yes. I'm almost sure that it was on both of his hands, not just one. What? What?
How
There's,
would it still be on 2 then? And blood be on only 1?
well, there's a couple possibilities. It's either someone washed off the blood, or these are not the gloves that used to be murdered.
The gloves are murdered.
Gloves are murder.
Someone murdered the gloves.
Murder gloves? Listen, she's going to jail.
Oh no.
Hey,
we
I
should show
wasn't
that
there.
for YouTube before she goes to jail.
She murdered someone before she was even born, 2 centuries before.
I was there in spirit.
It's like, kid, your
I
past,
guess
your past life basically is like your.
Yeah, my
Well,
past
we've got
life.
reason, we've got
Yeah.
random.
It would appear
It's okay.
that we're in need further testimony from all your witnesses.
Kyle, I think we just need to make.
Stop it, Kyle.
I think we just need to make a
You.
command for that.
No.
No.
Yes.
And shout out Too Bad for You too. So.
This time, I would like to know precisely what you
Let's get her to affiliate before she's done a single stream.
what you did not see.
If,
We can't get her to affiliate.
she can't go to
Yeah.
affiliate until she gets like she streams.
Well, I mean the follower count to be affiliate.
Mhm.
Obviously,
I
she
thought we
needs to
already
get some
did
hours
it.
in too.
I thought the goal was 10.
I think we
No,
surpassed
already
that
got
already, haven't
Actually,
we?
she has like 15 or 20.
No way.
Let me
No,
check
that's
this
fine.
real quick. She has 11 followers, so she does have double digits.
What happened?
I can make it 12 if I create my alt account, Digits
No.
Baby or Yibs
Stop
Digit.
it.
just make a
Yeah,
Leave
make
it.
make a Twitch account for Emoto and just have her follow Lissa.
Well, keep shouting it out almost every day.
Eventually, you're gonna get there. Yeah.
Do I make myself
Eventually.
perfectly clear?
What would be
Chill
what would be your
noises.
first stream, Melissa, when you do make it? If you make it.
Mm.
Stream.
Emoto.
I'll
Veto.
delete it before I ever make a stream.
Mr. Naruto, this is good news. The course of the trial seems to.
Mr. Naruhodo.
Yeah, that's his name. Ryunosuke Naruhodo.
What is Naruhodo
I don't think
mean?
is that even a name that could
Naruhodo?
exist?
This is good news. The course of the trial seems to have shifted slightly at last. Yes. Might finally have a chance to turn things around here. Bring it around town. Bring it around town.
Then you
Do
do
this, and this, and this.
This, that, this, that,
This is that.
There was blood on both hands of the assailant, I certainly distinctly remember that. However, I suppose you might say that I didn't see the exact moment the stabbing transpired, if that matters.
I remember seeing the knife, and I remember seeing both the attackers' hands and blood on them.
I didn't see anything. I couldn't see anything myself, no. Not until I heard the scream.
Anyway, the fact remains that there can't have been anyone else inside the carriage, or we all would have seen.
Sus.
So small.
Well, lo and behold, in truth,
This list would kind of be in French, but Flowey in a sense then.
Is she saying you're saying Lissa's French?
No, I said for Flowey, it'd be similar to Flowey in a sense.
Ah.
It's kill or be kill. Would that be? Did you agree on that one?
Nah, I see her as more Sans.
in truth, a fact, not one of you was witnessed. One of you was witness.
You having trouble there?
I was like reading the English here for a second. I had to double take that.
Not one of you was witness to the crucial moment of the crime that was perpetrated.
My brain was like, none of you what witnessed, or not one of you is a witness to the crucial. It's like my brain had to take that, double take that, triple take that, quadruple take that. I had basically.
Take multiple takes.
Mike's not following Lissa. Mike, you have to follow Lissa now.
Oh. Just leave it be, Mike. Pretend you didn't hear anything.
Mike,
Sounds gonna do bad for you too.
Mike, do it as a Christmas gift. Just follow
Maybe
her.
when Grace goes live, I can ask for a shout out to Too Bad for You too, and some of Grace's 1,700 followers can jump on over.
Oh God.
Apologies, my lord, but
I'm already following.
Miyamoto says you're
Apparently
not
I've been
following her.
following for quite some time.
Emoto says you have not been following her. That means Emoto is lying. Put her on trial. She has to be cross-examined.
Us.
Her statements are
Emoto's
now.
gonna be so stressed out. She's gonna be tugging on her mustache.
She's
In
now
fact,
being
I
put on
think I
trial.
started following.
Oh, you say you were lied to, Emoto? I don't know how to trust.
Probably good while.
Well, here's the thing. Mike didn't say anything before. You did. So I don't know if I could trust you saying that Mike told you. I think you have to be put on trial.
They both should be put on trial.
Oh no.
Urgh.
Yes.
There's no
Yes,
one
like
inside the
a
carriage, but the man's hands were covered in blood. Urgh.
Working on making a.
That much incriminating evidence is tantamount to saying we saw the man do it.
Too bad. Oh, there we go. Luigi added too bad.
Oh,
Let us examine the interior of the omnibus once more. Thanks, Luigi.
Hey, now we got something.
The victim's first blood is clearly visible on the seat, corroborating the witness's accounts. In other words, there's no substantial nor significant change in the facts of the case.
Very well. Your cross-examination, please, counsel.
Still gonna go on for a little bit longer because I started late on this game, so that's why we're gonna go on a little bit longer before Chrono Ticker.
Bruno Trigger.
Now I'm gonna call it Chrono Ticker.
Bruno Tigger? Tigger's the name of one of my cats, dude.
I was thinking Tigger the Tigger.
tiger.
Oh yeah, that too.
Tiger, the kind of tiger.
Okay. Only true followers follow the group follow Lissa and signed a contract, but Lissa is not involved with this case. Well, in a sense,
We could have Detective Lissa.
does she want to be a detective, a murder detective?
I mean, it'd be a nice cover story for, other things.
So are you basically a detective working with Kyle, who's a
She
detective?
could be similar to like Detective Hoffman as he was doing it in Jigsaw.
Spoilers. But I'm kidding. I don't really care about the Saw universe because I don't really want to watch Saw universe. That stuff is gruesome.
I mean, yeah, it's pretty gory.
Have you seen any of the Saw movies, Lissa?
I've seen one. Yeah.
Yeah, I was watching a clip from the newest Saw universe movie, which was Spiral, with
yeah.
Chris Rock and stuff.
Oh,
I saw a clip of a guy's like being, well, basically he was gonna be hit by a train and he had to basically try to get out of the trap.
yeah.
I'm not gonna go.
That sounds
too-
like those movies might be a lot of violence with no substance. Kind of like the latest Halloween movie. Oh.
The truth.
I'm wondering if it's. I don't know if you're gonna how long those train those waters will go.
A lot of the Saw films remind me a lot of the Cube films. I'm not sure how much you guys remember any of the Cube films.
I've seen it. I've seen like a bit of it, but I've not finished it myself.
Yeah, it really just put me necessarily to sleep. I couldn't stay through. I couldn't barely watch any of the Saw films because I always ended up falling asleep to them.
You like fall asleep to murders. Got it.
I fall asleep to most actual horror films these days because I grew up with pretty nice classics, like Hellraiser for one.
What with the original Halloween?
Original Halloween, I do remember seeing a bit when I was a kid, but barely enough to remember. I haven't seen it in years.
Kyle, I think we need to change that.
So
Well,
there's
watch
the
Halloween
trilogy.
again.
Yeah, I'll watch Halloween again.
Although
Does that
the one
come
that I do
before-
remember that's most
Does that come
that
before
I
or
remember
after The
most of
Incredibles 2?
is H2O.
No,
Oh yeah, I haven't seen H2O.
no, Kyle, we watch we watch Halloween. I never specified which Halloween.
Oh, yeah, you haven't seen 2018 yet, have you?
I haven't seen 2018. I haven't seen the
Yeah.
2007 one.
You want to watch Halloween, which is the sequel to the movie Halloween, not to be confused with the remake of the movie Halloween, called Halloween.
In the franchise of Halloween. It's a perfectly understandable franchise with perfectly reasonable names.
Yeah, Cinemassacre has done like a video making fun of this, where he just mocks how ridiculous that franchise has gotten and the confusion of like the naming with all the reboots they've done.
Yeah, that is that I could see. I'm just
I mean,
glad
Halloween
that the new
2018 is
Resident
the Rob Zombie one was just ugh.
Oh yeah,
Robert Zombie.
the Rob Zombie one, yeah.
I did not enjoy it.
Yeah, that one was a little. I'll give it that. That one was, yeah.
I never did see his Halloween 2 though, which I like. The first Halloween that he made has some defenders, but like I've heard that Halloween 2 is just like ridiculously bad because that one wasn't even. It's not a remake of Halloween 2, like the original second movie in the franchise. It's just his sequel to his Halloween, so it goes in like a completely different direction.
Didn't it touch up more on before he became an actual serial killer?
Yeah, they tried to give Michael Myers a backstory, but it was just kind of
origin story.
It was just, there was nothing really original. It was just a kid who grows up in an abusive household, and he's like cruel to animals and stuff, and then he gets pushed over the edge,
murdering his first fellow human.
Yeah, it wasn't a particularly interesting backstory.
Yeah.
Man,
but he did throw God of Thunder by Kiss into the soundtrack, so that makes it all right.
Spoilers for those who really want to watch Rob Zombie's movies.
They shouldn't want to.
There are some films that are pretty good. I'll give it that.
I've heard some of his original work is good.
What'd you say, Luigi?
I think House of a Thousand Corpses was a pretty good one.
If you were able to do any of the Jigsaw games, you actually want to do those.
Oh my god, me doing a Jigsaw game? I don't even know if I really want to, because that's going to be gory as heck.
No, Nick, you should just take that literally and just do an actual Jigsaw puzzle on stream, since Luigi requested Jigsaw.
I mean, I could.
Just literally just take out a box with Jigsaw puzzle pieces and just solve a puzzle on a table somewhere.
I mean, I could just like do that, yeah. I mean, I don't mind. I actually do like puzzles. I just need a big table. I don't have a big table.
I like puzzles.
I like puzzles.
I like trains.
I like trains.
Well, at least you aren't doing any of them like the Shotgun Carousel. Or rack.
Hold it! Neopets Jigsaw.
Oh, dude, Neopets is a jam. That's true millennial stuff right there. Millennial content. Zoomer kids would just have an app for Neopets, probably.
Yep.
With microtransactions.
Yeah, I looked up what Neopets is now, and it's kind of weird. It does. Actually, can't really remember it very well off the top of my head, but like, it still has like the same games, but like because Flash doesn't work anymore, like they're still migrating I guess they're migrating it to a modern system. A modern system of sorts.
But the site is still up?
Yeah, the site's still there.
I wonder how kids would even find that nowadays. Like, the thing that got me into Neopets growing up was that, one, friends were playing it, and two, they had, like, McDonald's toys of them and stuff, which is how word got out, and they started advertising it on TV and stuff. Hold it! That was a pretty fun franchise, though, for its time.
Neopets?
Yeah.
True.
Like, they had games, they had comics, and a bunch of other stuff going on the website. If you didn't feed your Neopet every day, it would be, like, emaciated, but they wouldn't actually die, so it was alright.
remember there was a game that it was not like a kind of like an online life thing, where like you had like an apartment you could decorate and you can have a pet, and if you didn't feed the pet, it would just get taken away.
It gets taken in by like a PCS, or PPS, the Pet Protective Services.
Actually, your Neopets will eventually get taken away, I think. Or no, you can put them up for adoption. That's what it is. That's what it is.
You put Neopets up for adoption? I guess anything is not happening in this world.
Yeah.
I remember with Neopets, it was pretty early massive internet websites, and the thing they did was like you create your pet, but it had to have an absolutely unique name, which is pretty hard on a website where there's like millions of people using it and doing all these names and stuff, so... It's like you have a pet, but it's got to be named like, Blazer Gamer 112 for like the name of a pet, and it's like, what?
That's a long name.
As a 10-year-old, I was confused.
Or Retrobound, or...
That name might have been taken, though. Just a name of like 2 common words.
I'd be surprised. That would probably be taken. Yeah, I should have thought of that. That would probably been one that would be common to take.
Unfortunately, Retrobound Podcast did not exist in 2004, so... Nick, can you imagine what Retrobound Podcast would be like in 2004?
God dang, well, I would not know.
Like what sort of games we'd be talking about?
It's like, oh, right, the new system, the Wii is coming out, guys. What do you think the Wii is, or the Revolution is going to be?
We've been talking about like Pokemon Emerald about to come out.
And it's like, oh, Kyle, you need Pokemon Emerald. Is that going to be your new favorite generation, man? I like Generation 2.
Well, I'd already played Ruby and Sapphire by that point. So.
Oh, you did, yeah. I would not have played like Fire Red or Ruby Sapphire.
Actually, in like 2004, like the Nintendo DS was new, so I would have been playing like... Actually, I don't know if I had mine in 2004, maybe 5 or 6.
The DS,
I got like Super Mario 64 DS at the time.
My brother didn't get the DS until the DS Lite came out, which is like probably like 2008.
That game's so stressful, though.
It is.
Remember I had Pokemon Troze at one point. I shouldn't have sold that game. It was pretty hype, but...
Troze was a lot. I remember one time that Pokemon was doing a competition with like watching like the 10th anniversary episode, like movie-ish on the anime, and it was just like, if you answer this question, you can win like a lot of Pokemon prizes. And I remember one of the it said like basically 100 runner-ups will win Pokemon Troze. But I took that as a kid, the runner-up for the competition will win 100 Pokemon Troze games.
100 copies of it?
Yeah, I was just like, man, what are you gonna do with 100 copies? Like, really?
Pretty excessive.
I was just like, why is that? Why would you need 100?
It's like when like you're a kid and like you're having like a birthday party and your mom makes you invite everyone in your class, like in elementary school.
Yeah.
Your mom's like, all right, give every single one of the other copies to all your classmates, so everyone in the school can have a copy of Pokemon Troze.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Neopets still sells merchandise.
It does.
That's wow. I'm surprised that franchise still exists all this time later.
Still around, yeah.
It appears that they do have like in-game purchases.
Yeah, I feel like they could keep that franchise alive if they made like apps. Because people would be into that probably.
That sounds complicated.
You say it's complicated, but people dig that stuff.
I mean, yeah, people would do it. It just sounds complicated to set up.
Oh my god, dude. You know, Nick, what else I thought of for like a 2004 Restaurant podcast? I think
What?
Nintendogs is out at the time.
Oh god.
Oh my god.
Like 2005. I had a
I had
Nintendogs game at one
Nintendogs.
point.
Yep.
That's another game that, you know, like a lot of those DS games, after I stopped playing them, I kind of just decided to trade them in so I could buy something else. But like, Nintendogs is pretty cool for its time.
Mm.
You could like call your dog and the voice registers, you could pet, bathe your dog. You had to pick up their poop.
Sometimes they would run away and come back.
You could drive the little Bowser cart around your house and it would like terrify your dog.
Oh, I don't remember that.
Yep. Let's see. So he was witness up there. So in that case, there is a portion of the cabin interior that would have been out of sight from you.
What?
Like, golly, you really? Obviously, at this stage, we can't say for sure. But the possibility cannot be denied that at the time of the incident, there could have been another passenger enclosed in the cabin of the omnibus. I wonder if I should just have a timer, just do too bad a shout out every single time.
Please.
Every
Yeah,
2
that should-
minutes.
Every 2 minutes.
Maybe it should be in the same systems, because I think you have that one for also your Discord.
Oh, yeah, no, actually, Nightbot is apparently like no matter what you make for Nightbot, it's actually commands can work in the public Discord.
Maybe you can connect it to that Discord command
Oh,
and add
oh my
on
god,
to
if I see that in the public Discord.
Hold on, let me see
it.
something.
Like every 2 times it goes off the Discord, it adds the too bad command go off.
Oh yeah, it's in there.
The Nightbot that Carl has on his streams can like get so off topic. It's like I'll be typing in the chat, I'll be like, we'll be spamming, and then Nightbot will just be like, I stream on Mondays and Thursdays, and it's like, okay.
I stopped doing like all the timing stuff because it just like got a little ridiculous.
Enough hypothetical meandering, my Nipponese friend. The prosecution demands that you substantiate your claims.
I guess that is accurate, 8-ball. Thank you.
After all, the scene of the crime is here in the flesh.
Very well. I will uphold the prosecution's demand. You will identify the area on this cross-sectional plan of the omnibus. Where exactly in the omnibus are you suggesting that the potential extra passenger could have been situated?
See, the thing is about it is that they were up here looking down at the skylight, looking directly at the victim. But the problem is with this skylight, they have a trouble seeing this side.
Take that!
Both rows of the seats on the roof face in the direction of travel, whereas the seats in the closed cabin face each other, which means the visible part of the cabin, which passengers on the roof deck can see through the skylight, is as I've drawn here.
Oh,
That's right, my lord. As you can see, I just realized he's speaking, he's either speaking really good English or everyone in England can speak Japanese.
Or at least everybody in this courtroom can.
That's true. I think he's just speaking really good English because he kind of had to because of the trip to England.
Might have learned it from his pal while he was coming to British.
The seat opposite, and he was practicing English beforehand because he had like English professor, so he was a bit rusty, but he had a month to learn, I guess, English. Not enough time to practice. The seat opposite the one on which the victim and his attacker were sitting is obscured from the view. In other words, if someone had been sitting on that seat, that's like the 11th time. I think I need a new counter, Justin. It's quite possible that these witnesses would have been completely unaware of it.
How many amounts of soda will we have? Because I think the alcohol will be
Yeah, the alcohol too much. By the way, Kyle, to give you context, what we're talking about, it was like we were noticing that he kept whacking his fist down earlier in the game, so it was just like I lost count. I was just like, hey, future Justin, can you make a clip of this specific section and count how many times he whacked his fist down?
A lot.
Wait, does the exclamation point phantom work if it works here? Oh my gosh, it actually worked.
That means Nightbot connected to my Twitch, so yeah, technically it does. But I probably have to limit Nightbot then, if that's the case, to any channels because I don't want that to spam everywhere. I didn't.
I accidentally found it within a special patch.
Yeah, so I have to be careful with that. I'll have to double check that later. It's completely possible that these witnesses would have been completely unaware of it.
Objection!
It's quite possible some phantom was sitting there. Your Nipponis have a forbidding habit of obscuring the truth of ambiguity.
I concur.
That would mean they would technically follow the rules of doing the 4 pence.
Yeah, true.
I concur with the prosecution's rejoinder. In the British court of law, evidence is paramount.
Well, here's the thing: the 4 pence is a confirmed not possible anymore because the person, like the driver, basically charged 5 pence per person. He confirmed it, so that means the fact of a person being charged a
stowaway.
Yeah, it would be a stowaway. That would be the best way out of this.
I concur with the prosecution's rejoinder. In the British court of law, evidence is paramount. I cannot entertain this conjecture, counsel. That is, unless you are able to put a name to this mysterious passenger to whom you allude.
Can you, Mr. Naruto? I honestly don't know. Who could it have been? Who could have been in the other seat which was out of sight from the witnesses on the roof deck?
Ink.
Mr. Strongheart is the Lord of Chief Justice, so I don't think he's going to be part of this trial. It can't be Zykes. We only have 3 witnesses, the defendant, and 1 person dead.
Yeah, can't be 3 fires.
Yeah, he's dead. McGilded is defendant. Yeah, McGilded can't be it because he's the defendant and we're trying to keep him innocent. So it has to be one of these 3, but that's impossible because he's the driver and these 2 confirmed that they're on the rooftop.
Maybe they got intimidated by the person they let him in for free because one of the bit scared easily.
I have to say, I have no idea. I have literally no idea. But as a proud citizen of the Japanese Empire, you will look to the sky and walk on. Make sure all signs of tears are gone. Go on. This isn't just a case of going on, Mrs. Sato. Alright then, I'll go on. I guess we do have somebody. The defense would like to put forward a name. What name?
You are
Or wine.
How did you get another chalice? What that response was a desperate attempt by a man who has no notion of his own limitations. A toast to the hard lessons yet learned.
Let's not delay, counsel. The defense is still to name passenger on the other seat.
This could be it. This could be a chance I've been waiting for turn trial in my favor. On the night of the murder, the person occupied the seat on the omnibus that was obscured to view was...
I honestly think it's the judge, the second option, because he could easily have intimidated them because one of the members of the top hat was easily scared by the person that's leading him.
Oh, I don't know. Don't think so. I was thinking Mr. McGilded because actually, would Magnus McGilded be possible? Can you
That's for
check the
you to
luggage?
decide, Nick.
I can't check the luggage. Not anymore, Emoto. I'm actually stuck in here, so I can't check luggage. Also, when I was checking there, it was like bagged last time. If I recall correctly, there was nothing there. Because like, here's my thinking. There were two people supposedly inside the carriage, and the person that was obscured from view. What happens if it was Mr. McGilded, who was obscured, and they just saw the hands of the person stabbing? So not necessarily they would have seen McGilded. They just saw hands, and McGilded was the only one inside the carriage.
That could work.
Because it can't be Thrice, because he's obviously died.
Bryce died. It can't be the top hat people because one was up in the middle surviving the cold. The other two were just on top now. Really doing it.
I don't know about Strong. I don't think it's Strongheart. So I would honestly say it's McGilded, to be honest. I think that's the most logical step to this. That would make the most sense.
Let's give it a shot.
I do also have 5 strikes. Also, I got it right because the strikes are not there. The passenger in the closed cabin that witnesses on the roof deck failed to see has have been Mr. McGilded, Magnus McGilded. Mr. McGilded?
What are you talking about, Counsel? That's the name of the defendant.
Objection!
Oh,
You could have caused the fire there, Sonny. Jesus.
Why does he keep breaking his glass? The glass he uses to drink the red wine with.
He's
Also,
being
this-
dramatic. He's like, or
The
another.
thing is that also he broke the glass, which shards of glass could just go into the audience and cut someone.
Well, and he's gonna cut his hand. If you glass with your bare hands, you're gonna get cut.
He did crush one in his gloves, so yeah.
Well, but how thick are those gloves? If they're silk gloves, those are easily cuttable.
What about those leather? They look like leather gloves, white leather gloves.
Well, leather, not so much, but
Definitely not cheap.
Yeah, that's true.
If I desecrate this chamber by smashing my hollowed chalice, do forgive the courtesy. This courtesy.
I do have
Von
to say,
Sykes.
I think his gloves are leather.
Mm-hmm.
Because someone of high importance, such as him, would not be caught wearing silk in the 1800s.
Yeah, that's true.
yeah. Anyway,
Someone,
I
someone
thought
of royalty,
I was gonna stay
like
for this whole trial,
him.
but this is dragging on longer than I thought, and it's getting late, so I'm gonna head out.
No worries. I'm gonna be
Okay.
ending this session anyway in like about 10 minutes. This trial's not gonna end in like 10 minutes anyway. I can already
Okay.
Is like
Yeah.
100% sus. Magic 8 Ball
Okay,
says
well, have a good night,
69%.
guys.
tell. Good
And
night. Night.
Hey, I mean, exclamation point sauce is Phantom coming.
Santo is never coming.
It says 69% for sure coming.
Yeah, but that's the... What about the 31%?
People talk of those tiny island nations in the Far East as having a learning and culture of their own. But I see they use the terms ill-advisedly.
What are you trying to say?
Let me explain in terms that even a student of an artless backwater such as yourself might understand.
Rude.
When the bloody scene unfolded, the victim and his assailant were sitting side by side. Multiple witnesses have attested to that fact. It's the very premise on which this case is built. But that premise may be wrong. What? What? If the victim... Nani? What?
What?
If the victim really was sitting beside Mr. McGilded, it creates an inconsistency that can't be reconciled in any way.
What inconsistency, counsel?
The defendant's gloves, my lord. Both witnesses made the same testimony. They claimed that there was blood on both hands of the person sitting next to the victim.
Objection!
Yet we know the truth to be otherwise. Only one glove bears the gory remains. The point is, even if in the face of irrefutable evidence, both witnesses have maintained their stance.
Yes, the testimony remains unchanged.
Exactly. They both adamantly swear that they clearly remember seeing blood on both hands of the assailant. In short, their memory of events is correct, and their testimonies reveal the truth. If it was somebody else sitting beside the victim that night, a third party we have yet to identify. And the victim's blood was on that passenger's hands, both of them.
Objection!
And who was this third party? Obviously, the true culprit.
Extraordinary!
Nani?
Order! What exactly are you postulating?
Number 6, please.
Number 6, please. The defense's postulation is just that, nothing more than conjecture. The witness has clearly stated that they saw the accused.
Objection.
But when elaborating on his testimony, Mr. Fairplay said the two of them were wearing hats, and I couldn't exactly make out their faces.
Yes. The tops of their heads were obscured by the roof. I could not see the rest of them. Though.
Yes, that's right. Both gents were most certainly hatted. Hatters do tend to notice such things, sir.
In what
particular styles of hat did the two gentlemen sport, Mr. Frost?
I'm afraid I don't remember. And you call yourself a hatter? The style of hat makes no difference. Was no third passenger in the cabin. How can you be sure? Because if there had been, the accused Mr. McGilded would undoubtedly have offered to depose the fact.
Even if he did, I'm pretty sure that would have just pushed him further into being an accused.
Not necessarily, because if there was if there was another witness to the whole murder, that could either prove he is innocent or not, because it depends on swinging the whole situation. But if he is hiding a fact, that's a potential guilt of perjury. Unless that is, you are proposing an even more preposterous explanation. That the accused failed to even notice the presence of the two culprits in the very cabin in which he traveled.
Rod is not happy.
Well, the thing is, Mr. McGilded was really tired. He's right. If there was another person traveling in the enclosed cabin of the omnibus, it's inconceivable that Mr. McGilded would have been unaware of it. The problem is, they had to had some passenger in there.
Order! Here is clearly a simple solution to this problem.
Bring the accused, Mr. McGilded, to the stand.
Well, what you say, counsel?
The prosecution objects, my lord.
On what grounds?
As a suspect, he will have already made a false statement to the police. But what if there was some reason why he's unable to speak freely? Magnus McGilded is no uneducated ruffian. If it indeed turns out the man has been withholding information, you can be sure it will have been a most deliberate act.
This counsel for defense, what is your opinion?
My lord, should we ask Mr. McGilded to testify or not?
Gotta demand it for his testimony. Something doesn't make sense. Yes, we need to hear what he has to say in order to find out the truth. The defense would like to call Mr. McGilded to the stand.
In that case, I would like to hear the opinion of the jury.
Yes, I need time to consider this.
Why is this judge constipated?
No, that guy, the guy's not a judge. He's a jury.
The juror. I was looking at Twitch delay.
If you ask me, I think we should hear what Mr. McGilded has to say.
1/3,
Get the man out here, I say.
1/2,
It would be utterly illogical to not hear his testimony.
2/3, 5/6,
Hear what the patron of my favorite little park has to say. Oh yes, that would be lovely.
1/6.
Yes, the jury says the man must be heard.
Something suspicious about the first juror. It really gets me.
He is throwing up very quick, suspicious vibes.
Olive, show the defendant to the stand at once.
Maybe being murdered, and we just don't know.
Maybe, but we will see. Now, maybe what actually happened that night will finally become clear. The thing is, that guy is short.
Meaning,
I don't think he is him.
Let the proceedings be resumed. Mr. McGilded, have you been listening to the discourse of the day?
To be sure I have, my lord.
There are now two matters on which the court desires to hear from you. The first is whether or not there was a third party with you in the omnibus cabin as proposed by defense. The second is that if such a person is indeed present, why did you conceal the fact from the police?
Begod, no! 'Tis not in my nature to hide anything at all. Just answer the questions, please. The truth of the matter is, I've been this desperate about this all along. Do I tell yous all, or keep me mouth shut? Can't do a good Irish accent, but I think he's a guy's Irish. Tell us, what Mr. McGilded. The fine fella representing me is absolutely right. In the carriage on the night of myself and the other man, there was another passenger.
Is it? It's true.
Nonny.
Aye, and 'twas me who helped the little urchin get away after it all happened. You.
Yeah.
What?
So he's gonna get charged with it. So since still a crime?
Magnus McGilded, that convenient excuse cannot save you now. I'm really sorry, so I am Lord on Zykes. I'm sure you'll be wanting to know why I've been nutting when I was taken by the police. I do be having a good reason, I assure you.
Which one is?
Well, that is, the child was just in the wrong place at the wrong time, and not in any way involved, you see. What? If the police had known the wee one was there, they'd be assumed she'd done it. They'd have hauled her into her courtroom just like myself. I was trying to spare her from that.
Who is her?
Young hearts and young minds are easily damaged, my lord.
And who was this young child of whom you speak?
That I don't know.
You don't know?
Aye, well, the wee thing just happened to be in the carriage that night. I never saw her before or since.
Objection!
We have absolutely no reason to believe this man. The prosecution calls for the witnesses' statements to be disregarded by the court. You know, I wouldn't be surprised if the urchin isn't here in the courtroom as we speak. Listen to the proceedings. Smoke! Ah! Fire! There's fire! Look, someone's getting away! Cough, cough, after them! It's no use! Cough, cough! I can't see anything through all the smoke! What is going on? Be careful, Mr. Naruto. Cover your face. Balef, don't let the accused escape. Secure the omnibus.
I hereby call emergency recess. Belif, ensure defendant is in custody and clear the courtroom.
We were hurriedly removed from the smoke-filled courtroom by the bailiff. Amid scenes of chaos as people stumbled over one another in the desperation to flee the chamber. We had no idea what was happening. All we knew was that, for time being at least, the trial was suspended. To be continued. And that will be it for this session. What a ending to that segment. That went differently.
Someone set the courtroom on fire.
Yeah, apparently.
Honestly, this has been chaotic for sure, I can tell you that.
There we go.
3 stage fires are too many.
'Tis with the scratch, young man.
How's
Tis-
the Twitch for Switch so far?
Yep. Huh?
I saw there was a Twitch for Switch.
Yeah, I did. I was
How was it?
very lackluster. It's not that good. It's like basically, it might be just some poor connections, just because it's like it's usually using Wi-Fi, but also that you can't even see or interact with Twitch chat unless you have a phone. It's bad.
So like basically the TV version.
Yep, that's what I heard. It's very, very minimalistic. Twitch, this platform that dominates streaming currently, can't even make good apps. But we will see that the continuation for that trial not next week, because next week we have a special program to go through. Along with Chibi Robo, they're both going to be taking another week break. Are you ready to make pastas?
Let's do it right now. Start the game right now.
Okay, cool. I'm booting it up right now.
Right now.
Alright, Kyle. You're going to be reading every single character except that one you wanted.
Oh man, never mind. Don't do it. Play Finding Paradise instead.
What? Are you going to sit here for like 5 hours?
No.
He's just like, no. Instant transmission.
Trying to teleport a jester named Jevel.
Also, I still need to finish up Kyle's your Sunshine highlight, your most recent one.
Yeah, I watched back to find the source of that quote that you posted earlier about Paw's ass, and I remembered that obnoxious thing where whenever you get like all red coins in a level, they have like it cuts away to the shine appearing so you can't see what you're doing, and then it throws you in control again.
Yep.
With the movie thing that we did for yesterday, staying count as a spoiler, or that we got for the meme.
It's out of context, so you can use the face, but don't explain where. It's really out of context. Kyle doesn't even understand what it is.
Yeah, that's fair. Perfect. What? Eighty.
Alright, my game is
Wow,
over.
Son of a Goomba's third place.
I could have gotten a sealed copy of Chrono Trigger on DS.
So you get the original version, not the remade?
Nope. Because Kyle kept complaining that the dialogue is different.
Okay, man, jeez.
I thought
Why
they
do you
had
have to
some
throw me under the
content
bus?
to the remade version of the first game.
I don't know what differences it has, though. That's the thing. Outside of dialogue choices.
There are a couple, there are like a few endings they added. There's a little arena thing, which is like a bad turn-based Pokemon minigame type thing. And there's like one additional area with some bosses. That's what I remember.
Yeah, and then the rest, I think there's a spoiler.
Yeah, no
For-
spoilers for that.
I know. What's the random sound word gonna be?
Bat.
I keep getting that one.
I need to add more to it, though. That's the problem, so...
I remember you had to take off the top.
Yeah, because it was so small, short, and quiet.
Womp, womp, womp.
Boom, 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 boom.